A Sky News investigation has tracked down a witness who sounded the alarm 2 years before one of the UK's biggest paedophile rings was brought down. A gang of Glasgow drug addicts are in jail for almost a century for arranging child rape nights as part of a 7-year campaign of sexual violence against children who were known to the authorities and on the Child Protection Register. Our Scotland correspondent Connor Gillies has spent months investigating how this could have happened in plain sight and examines how robust the system is to protect children. And a warning, this report contains details of child abuse.
What happened here is sickening. Monstrous crimes by a drug-addicted paedophile ring who got away with it for so long. And no one knows why.
Whoa!
The depths of human depravity.
Oh,
the bunch who organise nights to rape children in a filthy den full of heroin known as the Beastie House, where a girl was put in a microwave, where abusers laughed and filmed as youngsters were molested and money was exchanged. This is a city horrified, and one with serious questions. The 7-year campaign of violence began in 2012. Children were seen on the streets, malnourished and gaunt, visited regularly by social workers, and eventually, in 2018, placed on the Child Protection Register. And yet, the beatings and rapes continued. Police cracking the case 2 years later. We've spent months in this community, and understandably very few people are willing to talk about what happened. But I think there is one man who knew the victims, and I think he's going to speak to us. We have to protect his identity. We spoke on the phone. And he told Sky News he had concerns long before police got involved.
Seen them on a regular basis, every week. I kind of noticed things were wrong in 2018. One of their hair was a bit messy with head lice, and because she was the same age as my child, I said, "Why won't you do your hair?" That's when she went quiet, and she started talking a bit more adulty for a child her age. I'm seeing it from her point of view now that she has left them on her head to try and keep these beasts away from her. The head lice were protecting her from them.
He tells me he later spoke to detectives and is concerned the abuse went unchecked for 7 years.
They were always lingering around adults to try and get food. They were scavenging around for food. It was heartbreaking. I'm scunnered with it. Scunnered. The system has failed.
An independent learning review is now underway, examining those failures.
The challenge for them is how effectively we implement the recommendations.
But this former Children's Commissioner says there are questions around effectiveness.
I do recognise that when we have terrible, terrible cases such as this, that people are right to ask questions about how effectively our whole system is operating.
When a review's concluded, can it just sit in a tray, or are they legally bound to implement those recommendations?
It would be surprising if people don't act on the reviews, but if you're asking about whether there's a statutory framework, the answer is no.
Each one of these paedophiles is now behind bars. They believe they are the real victims, repeatedly claiming the children are liars. One of the lawyers involved was so sickened he has refused to work on sex abuse cases again.
So you were left with the impression that these were children who were known to the social work department, and it did seem surprising that steps hadn't been taken to remove them from the scenario they were in earlier. It's the worst example of child abuse I've ever heard. I've probably been involved in 400 trials in the High Court now, and many of them were sex abuse cases, and for many years I'd been considering refusing to take instructions in relation to those cases, and I suppose this was the straw that broke the camel's back.
There is consensus these children were failed, but our investigation raises fresh questions about how Scotland's biggest paedophile gang managed to cause such prolonged pain. Connor Gillies, Sky News, Glasgow.